Good evening, race fans. Welcome to tonight's FEG PC.net's Cup Series, coming to you live from Kentucky Speedway, a 1.46 mile track in the backwoods of Kentucky. It's going to be 100 laps for these competitors as they get ready to kick off round 4 of the Premier Cup Series. On behalf of Team Goon Squad Broadcasting, I'm James East, joined today by Mr. Mason Heimbaum. Mason, what do you think's going to happen tonight? Are you excited to be up in the booth, or are you nervous up there?
James, thank you very much. I am, I'm definitely a little bit nervous to be here today on my first day of broadcasting, but I am excited, and I am pretty interested to see what kind of race we're going to see here today. We have a lot of very strong racers here in this race, and I think we're going to see a lot of interesting racing just because of the way that the track is set up. It's going to be interesting to see how these drivers get accustomed to it throughout this race, and it'll be interesting to see what these drivers do here in this qualifying as well in the beginning of the race.
Yeah, I'm excited for it. Right now we're watching Matthew Lee. He has gone 3 for 3 so far in the Cup Series, also putting on a dominant performance in the Truck Series that the FEG PC guys put on as well. He clicks off so far one of the fastest times with 30.33, but as he crosses the line, let's see how much faster he can get. Does not do it on his second lap, so a little bit slower the second time by. He's with a 30.33, puts him on top of provisional pole so far. You've got Rochelle sitting in second, Ross third, Lothar, our favorite fast Canadian. He's in fourth so far in single car qualifying. Kaufman in ninth, as we're still waiting for a lot of the guys to take the field and put down some laps. Watching Stephen Page in the number 6 machine. He's going to go out and see if he can best his time and try and score some points right here tonight.
Absolutely. It's definitely very interesting to see what these drivers are doing here in this qualifying lap. Lee obviously posting a very solid 30.33 in his qualifying lap. Rochelle following behind with a very, very, very close qualifying lap of just behind 0.03 lap of lap time, and Ross not too far behind that as well. And I think that we're going to see a lot of these drivers kind of continue to put on more consistent lap times throughout this course, and hopefully that'll continue throughout the night, and this track won't give them too many issues, as it obviously is a little bit different from what they're probably used to for most tracks.
Now I'm looking forward to watching some Matthew Lee, the guy is currently on top of provisional pole, has a very big points lead right now. He is 17 points ahead of Kenneth McCullough Jr. Does not look like McCullough Jr. is going to take the field tonight. Jose Medina, he is in third place in points. I don't see him no, we do. We have the number 8 machine out there. So Jose currently in the best chance to try and gain some points tonight. McCullough Jr. not able to make it. The guy running second place, he is about 21 points behind Matthew Lee right now. So that's just one bad race for Mr. Matthew Lee for Medina to get back in the action, try and get that championship run. 8 cars taking the field for qualifying so far. We're still waiting for Medina to put down a few laps. Joseph Burgess is out there as well. Doesn't look like Donald Stewart has put down any qualifying laps. So smaller field than we're used to. It's going to be about 11 cars starting tonight. That might yield a little bit more green flag strategies instead of a caution fest where everybody's on the same cycle. So let's see what these drivers have in store for us as we wind down qualifying with about 30 seconds left to go.
As we're winding down here as well, when the drivers get into their positions and begin the race here, what do you think is going to happen here in these first few opening laps? Do you think we're going to see a few drivers get loose in the opening corners, or do you think we're going to see a few solid green laps and hopefully it continues throughout the rest of the race?
I think as things start off, it's going to be pretty good, pretty tame. You might see a couple guys getting loose come out of 2 and 4. But for the most part, I think these drivers are so experienced. They're so good at what they do. They're some of the best in the best. I'm predicting a few little bit of shuffles on positions in the first 5 laps. And then after that, drivers are going to start driving with tire wear in the back of their mind and just try and make it some good green flag runs. But we're going to run through the starting grid real quickly. We've got Matthew Lee up front, Kyle Rochelle starting second, Matthew Curry third, Chad Ross will be in fourth tonight, William Lothar, our favorite fast Canadian, in fifth, Stephen Page starting sixth, James Kaufman seventh, Jose Medina starting eighth, Jeffrey Smith in ninth, Joseph Burgess 10th, and then Donald Stewart will round out the field in 11th as we get ready to take the field here at Kentucky. 100 laps around this racetrack, Mason. We're going to hope for some good green flag runs. As a racer, a broadcaster, we all like to see strategy coming into play. When it's a bunch of cautions, everybody kind of ends up with the same tire set and the same strategy. We know Matthew Lee is the guy to beat tonight, but I think we got to keep on Jose Medina. He's only starting 8th in this smaller field tonight, but he has the opportunity to get a ton of points if he can just keep it clean and stay out there for the entire race.
Absolutely, I agree, James. If Medina can hold on to his lines, if he can keep pushing throughout the race and continue to push himself up the grid and perhaps get himself up to maybe even pole 2 or 3, maybe even up to that first, but only time will tell. We'll have to wait and see as the race progresses, and maybe we will see Medina come out on top. Only time will tell.
Yeah, Medina's definitely one that we're going to keep an eye on. He's probably has the most to gain as far as points. Chad Ross, who's currently 4th in points, he gained 3 positions from last week, and he'll be starting 4th tonight, so he's in a good spot. Matthew Curry, though, last week had a rough race. He lost 3 positions with just having a real rough night, but he'll be starting 3rd tonight. But let's get ready as our field takes to the track, gets ready to form up, and then we're going to get this party started here at Kentucky.
All right, and as everyone gets themselves onto the track and behind the pace car here, we're gonna have a really solid beginning of the race here. I think we're gonna see a lot of competition for the top 3 positions coming out of the first couple laps here. We might possibly see the drivers start to get a little bit more comfortable with getting closer to each other, being a little bit more competitive and trying to get past one another, but being the track is a little bit different from what they're probably used to, it might not play out the way that some of them think. But again, as you said, race strategy is very important in these races, so it's going to be interesting to see what these drivers come up with and what they can do during this race.
Right now, all eyes are on Matthew Lee and Kyle Rochelle. That's our front row. Pace car is going to come in, and just like that, Lee is out with a commanding start. And it looks like that's going to be Matthew Kerr on the inside. He might get the position from Kyle Rochelle. Rochelle along the outside, using up every inch of racetrack he has at his disposal. He needs to get down to that bottom lane and kind of get in line here, or he's going to get eaten up by cars behind him. I think after about 5, 6, 7 laps, you're going to see drivers kind of playing with tire wear just a little bit, trying to make it on these long green flag runs. But if they're going to shake it up, it's going to be in these first 5 laps, I think.
Absolutely. If you really want to make an impact in the beginning of the race, you're going to have to do it in the first at least 5 to 10 laps. If you're planning on trying to do it later in the race, you're really playing a game of you're gambling at that point as far as where you are as far as tire wear, where other drivers are. You're having to plan more as far as when you're pitting, when other drivers are pitting. A lot more comes into play if you're not making an impact right at the beginning of the race.
Yeah, these drivers are going to have kind of a limited balance of traction. So if you think of it as a checkbook, you start off with $1 for a brand new set of tires. Each lap you spend a few pennies here and there on traction, trying to gain some spot, but the trick is making that dollar last the entire race and not spending it all too early. You want to have some left in the bank if you have a chance to make a pass later on the run. But it's a very fine timing game. You see Rochelle, he's running that middle to high line. Matthew Lee, Matthew Curry, they're both kind of getting all the way down to the apron there and making the track as small as they can. Man, look at Lee. He's pretty much using way down the apron and using every little bit he can.
He's getting very low down, almost onto the apron. He's doing a very good job of maintaining his line, though, and he's holding it very well. And I think he's holding his speed quite well too. He's maintaining that position quite well. Rochelle behind him, he's doing a very fantastic job of trying to stay behind him, maintain that line behind him, try and gain as much speed, get as close to him as possible, and maybe try and pass him. But it's going to take him a few laps before he eventually catches up to him. But he's making good time.
Yeah, my understanding is these drivers do get a bonus point per lap led. So Rochelle's going to try and get out that early. But here's your battle for third. Matthew Curry, Chad Ross side by side. Can the number 51 of Curry make it stick? Or is Ross running the preferred line all the way down the apron? It almost looks like they're using that apron like the dog leg at Phoenix, where drivers are allowed to cut across the yellow and really shorten the racetrack up. But I mean, back here in 4th through 6th, they're going 2 by 2 and pushing really, really hard. These guys, they know it's a championship. They're almost halfway through it. Every point counts, so even if you're not able to get there, kind of contend with Matthew Lee running in first right now, you can at least get yourself in a better position to try and bring home a second or third. It's definitely not one of those championships where it's all said and done. I mean, Matthew Lee does have a great points lead right now, but like we talked about kind of early on the broadcast, it just takes one bad race and then you're trying to dig yourself out of a hole.
Absolutely. It's one of those situations where when you're in the lead, you want to do your best to try and maintain that. And there are some times where you can allow yourself to, you can lose a position here or there. You might have a bad day at a race, but if you have a serious bad day where you're all the way in the back of the pack and you're not able to catch up and regain those points, you're really going to be struggling in the series, and you might find yourself dropping in the series, and you might have a really hard time working your way back up to regain that position.
Yeah, fully agreed. It's much easier to rapidly lose points than it is to rapidly gain points. Right now, Matthew Lee, though, he's putting on another clinic. He's led every lap so far. He's running about the same last speed as Kyle Rochelle right behind him. So these guys may have tire wear in the back of their mind. They're thinking, you know what, this could be a green flag run at least to the halfway mark. Do we all start taking it a little bit easier now, save a little bit of tire and maybe try and win on pit strategy, or hope for a caution to come out? But right now, with the way these drivers are racing, it looks like we might have a lot more green flags to come. All these guys driving very, very good and very, very smooth as this run develops.
We're seeing a very clean race here so far. I haven't seen any slip up from any driver so far. Everyone is driving very, very well. A little bit of a blip there out of, I don't know what car that was, but hopefully that was resolved relatively quickly.
Looks like that's going to be William Lothar in the 47 having internet problems. We saw that as well on live timing. So he's having a little bit of issues. Stephen Page at number 6 is right behind him. In front of Lothar, you've got Matthew Curry. So Lothar knows he can't quite make a pass stick as long as he has those blinking issues. So he's going to have to play it safe for a little bit and see if that problem resolves.
Hopefully this isn't an issue for the other drivers as well. Having to avoid other drivers that are having these issues can sometimes be a problem if you're following too closely to them and they reappear in front of you. It can often send you into the wall, or both of you into the wall in worst case scenarios, and this is not something that you want to have happen in this series. You definitely want to have everyone on a stable connection as much as possible.
Talk about connections. Lothar seems like he might have it dialed in. He's going to go to the inside of Matthew Curry, slide up the racetrack a little bit. Not too aggressive of a block, so all these guys being very friendly with each other. And Lothar's going to gain a spot. He is up to 4th place. He's gained an entire 1 spot so far in the race. But it looks like the battle for second starting to develop as well. Chad Ross in the 38 machine all over the rear bumper of Kyle Rochelle. Looks like Ross was about almost a 10th faster than Rochelle that last time by. We'll see what they show in the scoring this time. Very, very different lines there. You see Rochelle running the high line. Ross making that track as smooth as he can. He gets around Rochelle. Can he make it stick with a drive out of here? It looks like he's going to. So now Chad Ross up 2 spots into second. He's got to try and chase down that 0.6 second gap to current race leader and points leader Matthew Lee.
And we're seeing a lot of competition coming out of the 38 car from Chad Ross. He's definitely putting up a huge fight, holding that number 2 position as he took it from Rochelle. And Rochelle is definitely doing his best to try and regain that position, but he's definitely struggling trying to hold his line in trying to overtake uh, Mr. Ross here in the 38 car. And hopefully he'll be able to pull something off here in the next couple laps, but we'll see.
Now, if Ross can finish where he's at right now, he should be able to squeak by Jose Medina, who's third in points. Medina, he's on track right now. He's running 6th place up 2 positions. And Ross may also be able to catch Kenneth McCullough Jr., who's using this as an off week. So Ross is, let's see what it looks like. He's about 5 points behind Kenneth McCullough Jr., so not many points separating our top 5 besides Matthew Lee, who has a very comfortable points advantage right now. So you might be able to see Ross, if he can finish here in 2nd tonight or even 3rd and keep Medina behind him, he should be able to move up 1 if not 2 spots in the championship chase.
And that would be a very good thing for him, as he would be able to work his way up the pole and hopefully get a little bit closer to that number 1 spot, as I'm sure every driver here wishes to get to that spot. But even securing that number 2 or that number 3 spot is also going to be a very good place to be in, and hopefully these drivers will be able to pull that off here tonight.
Yeah, again, everybody wants to try and get themselves in the best position they can. If they're not going to win the race, at least put themselves within striking distance. That way, if Lee, he might have an off week. He might just go out there, crash the car. He could get crashed or not able to make it to a race. And these guys just need one bad week for Lee, and they can be suddenly in contention for the championship. So everybody's out there putting down hard laps and trying to gain some points when they can. Right now, we're looking at your battle for 4th. It's going to be Stephen Page in the front of this pack, William Lothar, Jose Medina, Matthew Curry, all in a big clump together. We had a little bit of passing going back and forth between Lothar and Stephen Page. That could be signaled because of the internet problems we saw earlier, but none of these guys happy where they're at. Everybody wants to push forward. We're only about 19 laps in, so plenty of racing to go. Expecting to see guys starting to take pit cycles around anywhere between lap 30 and lap 50 is where we're predicting the pit cycle to be. Because right now, Mason, they've already slowed down over a second off their best pace of the race. So even Matthew Lee, who put down a 30.44 as his best in this race, he's clicking off 31.45 as his last time by. So already tire wear is definitely a factor here in Kentucky.
Absolutely, and it's a little bit hotter today here at the Kentucky Speedway, and I think that's going to play a major factor into the tire wear. You're going to see drivers start to be a little bit more careful going into these corners. If you're going too fast, you're going to lose the rear end, and these drivers are doing a very good job of maintaining their car and keeping it on the line. It's honestly impressive what they're doing here tonight. It's really great.
Yeah, some of the best in the business. Right as we're saying that, Jose Medina, he makes a move on William Lothar in the 47 machine. Lothar is going to be put back into 6th place right now. Medina, one of those drivers running the very bottom of the racetrack through the start-finish line. And Lothar is all over the back of that number 8 machine, so that's shaping up to be a good battle.
Absolutely.
Now the problem here, Mason, is Medina and Lothar start battling back and forth like they are. That's going to give Stephen Page, the number 6 machine, a little bit of time to breathe. They're going to slow down the race pace, give Page a chance to try and catch up to Chad Ross in 3rd. But I mean, it's a big gap. Right now, William Lothar, he's about 5 seconds behind the race leader, Matthew Lee. As we all know, that is not an insignificant number. That is a big gap that the 2 packs have going on. You've got Lee, Rochelle, Ross in our top 3. Stephen Page kind of all by his lonesome here. And then behind him, you've got Medina, Lothar, Curry, all trying to get up there and try and catch up to the lead pack.
Absolutely, yeah. We're seeing a lot of these drivers. What they're trying to do, I think, is they're trying to hold their positions, and they're trying to go just as fast as they possibly can. Because at the end of the day, this race isn't about being in the front the entire time. It's about managing your tire wear, managing your fuel, and making sure that you're driving as cleanly as possible, because at the end of the day, you have 100 laps to go in this race, and anybody can make a mistake at any point in time. So it's important to just be on your A game and understand that, hey, I might be in position 7 or 8 or whatever right now in lap 24, but once everyone pits or if more incidents happen, your position can increase or decrease depending on the circumstances. And that's really sort of the mindset that a lot of these drivers probably have, is just maintaining what they have and pushing as hard as they can without faulting out.
Yeah, Matthew Lee, he's led pretty much every lap here tonight. He is going to burn through a little bit more fuel than Rochelle or Ross will behind him, since they have the draft at their advantage. Lee, though, no stranger to tire wear and fuel savings. We've seen him cut the car off mid-corner on shorter tracks. And we talked about tire wear, and I've got to agree. As these cars start to tighten up, they're going to want to push to the outside of the racetrack on corner exit. They're going to get definitely tighter, not looser, as the run develops. And you'll see guys kind of backing up their brake markers just a little bit further as the run develops. We're 26 laps in. These next-gen Cup cars, they do have very good tire wear. They're very much a driver's car. You hate to call it easy since there's still so much skill that goes into it, but definitely a little bit more forgiving than the last generation of Cup cars. So that's going to allow them to push a little bit harder, a little bit longer with the same tire set. But as the lap times show, it definitely is going to slow him down already. Lee about 1.2 seconds slower than his best session, 1.3 his best time by. So Lee might be playing it safe and kind of setting the pace where he wants it, controlling his tire wear and fuel, or he might be dangling that carrot just enough in front of Rochelle to try and get those guys to burn up tires faster than him, since he knows they can go a little bit longer on fuel than the 04 machine can.
Yeah, and it's going to be really interesting to see what these drivers in the back of the pack can do to sort of take advantage of this tire wear. As the front of the pack starts to slow down, will some of these rear drivers pick up the pace and try and gain some distance on these guys, or are they going to maintain where they are, play it safe, and hit the pits, and get on some fresh tires and try and gain some distance there? That's really what I'm kind of curious about here.
I think right now the best chance those guys that are in fourth place or further back have is go for the undercut. So if their fuel window starts in lap 35, you might see them coming in right as it opens, or even a couple laps earlier to get some fresh tires on there. Because Matthew Lee, Rochelle, Chad Ross, they're all clicking off mid to high 31, 31.7s pretty much for the entire top three. Fourth place, Jose Medina, his last lap was 2/10 off of that. And behind them, Stephen Page, William Lothar, Matthew Curry, all those guys are clicking off low to mid 32-second lap times. So they're definitely not getting any faster compared to the lead pack right now. It's just a game of staying out as long as you can and trying to gain that track position. They may try and stay out longer, go for the overcut. So you might see the leaders come in due to fuel, and then the back half of the field. I'm going to interrupt myself. We've got a patch for the lead. Rochelle dives down the inside of Matthew Lee. Can't make it stick. Is going to draw it back in line, but looks like Rochelle, he wants to lead a couple laps here at Kentucky.
Rochelle is definitely pushing very hard to get into that number one position. He's very eager to get into there. He's definitely been behind. He's definitely been pushing behind that number one car. Or excuse me again. He's definitely been pushing for that number one position behind the number 5 car for quite a long time now, and he definitely wants it. I think he might possibly get it tonight, but it's just a matter of, can he stick with it, and can he continue to push and not make any mistakes?
The numbers, Mason, what do they mean? You're right. I mean, Rochelle's doing a great job. He's chasing down Matthew Lee. We know he's got the pace to dive for the front. Chad Ross, though, he's kind of watching, waiting, seeing what these lead 2 cars do. Oh, look at that. Rochelle gets a little bit loose coming out of 2. That's going to allow Ross to get a run. I don't think he's going to have anything to do with it here. He's going to be content following for just a little while longer. All these top 3 drivers are very fast. They're very experienced. They know what it takes to bring it home. And looks like Matthew Lee's getting a little bit of a breathing room from Rochelle, as Rochelle's kind of dropped off the pace just a smidgen, it looks like.
Yeah, and it's going to be really interesting to see what these drivers are doing here in this race. As And that makes me wonder too now if the number 38 car, Chad Ross, can take advantage of that and maybe take the number 2 position from Rochelle.
Yeah, it's a game of cat and mouse with these drivers. They've kind of going to decide amongst themselves, all right, I'm comfortable pushing, or if you can push me, we'll try and catch down Lee. With 2 cars is always better than 1, but just like that, Chad Ross is going to be our first driver into pit lane, so he's going to pit on lap 34 of 100. And let's see if that's going to be a pro move as the run develops. But he had the pace to stay with Lee and Rochelle, so I'm not sure what the strategy might be here. So it's a 2-car show up front right now.
Well, if it plays out for Chad Ross, it might work out for him because, as we know, these cars are going to have to pit here in the next 10 to 15 laps, and Chad Ross might be able to pick up some laps here and maybe gain a position if this works out for him. However, if he's pitting this early, we might see later on in the race where he starts to lose a little bit of control of the vehicle as his tire wear gets a little bit worse.
Yeah, these 2 lead cars, Matthew Lee put down, I think they're both going to come into pit lane right now. So Rochelle was staying with Lee all the way through, so we know he's got the pace as the tire wear comes in. But now we're going to see our 2 lead cars come in. I think William Lothar is going to take over the race lead. He is. Lothar, the fastest Canadian, he's going to stay out a little bit longer, try and get that lap lead, maybe a bonus point or 2, and keep hammering down. Now, Lothar, his best lap time of the race so far was at 30.35. His last time by was at 32.49. Looks like pretty much the entire field except Lothar and Burgess have come into pit. All these guys are going to take 4 tires, full fuel, or at least the maximum they need to run it out to the end and account for a green-white checker. So Lothar and Burgess still on the same original set of tires they have so far. Burgess comes in. Rochelle should be... He's going to be showing up in second here in a moment. No, he goes a lap down as Lothar just keeps hammering off laps. So now you've got Chad Ross, Kyle Rochelle. They're your lead cars 1 lap down. Ross gets his lap back. And it looks like Lothar is going to tip into pit lane and take his 4 tires and fuel.
It's going to be very curious to see what happens here too, as we see some of these this last driver pit later than these other drivers. Will we see sort of towards the end of the race? Will we see him overtake these drivers on these older tires?
Yeah, Matthew Lee, who's been our race leader all night, he is showing a lap down the number 4 machine. So Lee might have had some problems there, not quite sure. Shows the pit time pretty excessive, a 54-second pit time. So I'm not sure if Lee maybe got a penalty that last time by, but that's going to put our previous race leader 1 lap down, showing in 6th place. So now it could have a good opportunity for Chad Ross, Kyle Rochelle to stay out there, click off some laps together, and maybe bring home a first and second, their first of the season.
And I think for these drivers too, that would be a very awesome thing for them to do today, and to take home a first and second pole position. It's always a great thing, and in this series, it's going to help them a lot as far as points are concerned. It's going to push them up a ladder just a little bit more, and hopefully get them a little bit closer to securing one of those winning spots.
Yeah, right now Matthew Lee, I mean, he's in big trouble. 1 lap down. You're going to see him putting down some of his best lap times in the session as he did. He just did a 30.4 flat, his best of the session. So, I mean, man, Lee's got a very long way to go here to try and get a lap back and then get through the field back up to Chad Ross, Kyle Rochelle. I mean, if Ross and Rochelle can finish where they're at, that is going to be huge for the points championship.
And with 60 laps to go, we still have a long way to go in the race, and I think we're going to see a lot of switching between the positions as far as who is where. And so far, surprisingly, we haven't seen any yellow cautions. We haven't had any incidents anything like that. These drivers have been doing an excellent job tonight in holding their lines, not bumping into each other, not losing their grip. It's honestly been a very impressive race to watch tonight, and hopefully it's fun to watch for all of you at home.
Yeah, very, very clean racing, especially here. Honestly, all the FEG PC race league. So always great to see it. Big shout out to Mr. Gerald Darkert, always tuning in, watching the broadcast. Mr. Darkert, we love seeing you. We greatly appreciate it. Thank you for tuning in. We did look through the team haulers as well, see if we can get in contact with Mr. Matthew Lee's crew chief, but we do not see him on comms right now. We're going to try and get an in-car interview, see what might have happened with the 04 machine, because that is a big, big shakeup. But here comes Rochelle. He's going to try and get a lap on Matthew Curry now as he dives to the inside. So Rochelle looks like he's going to be our new race leader here.
Rochelle doing a very excellent job, too, of just being very aggressive, trying to push as hard as he can and hold that position. And he's honestly been doing that the entire race, just pushing as hard as he can, making sure that he's not going too far back into the pack and kind of using the number 38 car, Chad Ross, as a sort of a boost to keep him propelled forward and keep that acceleration going through the corners.
So on live timing now, it looks like Matthew Curry shows in the lead lap in the Matthew Curry's been in the lead lap. Matthew Lee still down a lap. Shows about a 37-second gap between second place Chad Ross and currently sixth place Matthew Lee. So, man, this might be a heartbreaking story if Lee's not able to get back in the lead lap. Right now, he's got to be absolutely praying for a caution to get himself back up there. I don't know if he's going to be able to do it on pit strategy alone if Mr. Kyle Rochelle, Chad Ross can just keep it clean as this run develops.
Yeah, Lee is definitely going to have a hard time regaining his positions as far back in the pack where he is now. With how clean the race is going now, it'll be surprising to see if we have any cautions tonight. I'm surprised to see that we haven't had any, and it's really great to see lap 46 out of 100, and it's been just a super clean race. Lee is definitely going to be praying for something to happen here tonight and regain some of those lost positions.
Yeah, we're currently watching Jeffrey Smith and the number 11 machine. Smith is running third place right so far tonight. To give you an idea of how strung out this field is, Smith is currently 16 seconds behind second place Chad Ross, who is glued to the rear bumper of Kyle Rochelle. And I believe we might have another race for him up at the front, but Smith running third. He's got Matthew Curry less than 0.4 seconds behind him, so that's your battle for third. Both these guys trying to get a podium. And then right ahead of them, you see William Lothar, who's trying to get his lap back in the 47 machine, charging through the field. We're going to take it back up front. Watch the action. Kyle Rochelle, Chad Ross. But it looks like Rochelle's getting a little bit of a gap right now over second place Chad Ross.
Yeah, Rochelle definitely has a very comfortable spot where he's at now. I think Chad Ross is probably a little frustrated at this point. He's probably thinking to himself, what can I do to shorten this gap a little bit more and put a little bit more pressure on Rochelle and try and make something happen here tonight and make a win.
Now we saw most of the drivers pitting between lap 34 and 38. So that means we may see one more pit cycle around that lap 70 mark. Or if Kyle Rochelle, Chad Ross can stay out here and keep it going, they may try and make the next 50 laps green and just stay out there as long as they can, try and conserve fuel. So the last thing they want to do is tighten up that gap between themselves and third place Jeffrey Smith. But so far, everybody's running a good, clean job.
Yeah, everyone is doing a very, very excellent job tonight of racing. It's unfortunate to see a huge separation in the packs, but hopefully as the race progresses a little bit more, we'll start to see the pack tighten up a little bit more and see a little bit more action. But so far the front two, Rochelle and Chad Ross, they're both doing a very good job of holding their positions. Chad Ross is definitely trying his hardest, trying to catch up to Rochelle, but Rochelle is just not giving him any let up whatsoever.
Now as we watch our leaders take the line one more time, that's going to put us over the halfway mark. We're going to run a quick commercial break. We'll be back in a second. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the FEGPC.net Cup Series. As always, major thanks to our title sponsor, the #1 provider of computers built with the sim enthusiast in mind. Be it DCS, rFactor 2, iRacing, Microsoft Flight Sim, they put out the hardware that can make it happen for you. If you are even a broadcaster, if you need the best top-of-the-line equipment, check out FEGPC.net. They've got different pre-built options. They can do something custom to suit your needs and fair prices despite what's going on with the corona craziness with computer components. These guys do their best to keep their builds affordable and accessible for all of our sim enthusiasts out there. So again, thank you FEGPC.net for putting on the Cup Series tonight. We greatly appreciate it. As we come back, it's still Rochelle out front. Got almost a full second lead on second place Chad Ross and over 16 seconds to third place Jeffrey Smith. So if Rochelle can finish here and keep that car clean, looking very, very good to score a whole lot of points here tonight, Mason.
Yeah, James, we're seeing an absolutely incredible race tonight. It's just been clean through and through. No incidents whatsoever. It's been honestly incredible to watch. These drivers are putting on their best effort to put on the best race that they can, and it looks like Rochelle is actually about to lap the back of the pack here in just a second, unless he already has.
No, you're right. Ahead of him, I believe that might be Joseph Burgess. No, that I think it's going to be Stephen Page crossing the start-finish line. So you're right, Rochelle is going to have lap traffic coming into play. Now, Chad Ross here does have the advantage. So once Rochelle pushes through traffic, these guys are going to be a little bit more aware of what's going on. Granted, they do have crew chiefs and spotters giving them a heads up going, hey, leader's going to catch you in about 2 laps. But Rochelle will have the luxury of being the first one to punch through traffic. After that, lap traffic is going to have a little bit more heads up what's going on. May make it a little bit easier for Mr. Chad Ross, the 38 machine, to get by. But, I mean, it looks like Rochelle's just checking out. 1.2 second gap above second place. As they cross the line for their 59th lap here at Kentucky.
Rochelle's just cruising along here. He is definitely not letting up on his position here. He's not giving Chad Ross behind him any let up whatsoever, and it's honestly incredible to see. Chad Ross is putting up a huge effort to try and reduce that gap as much as he can, but Rochelle is just doing an excellent job of being very consistent on his lines. He's very clean with his driving, and I don't think that we're going to see I don't think we're going to see Rochelle lose his position anytime soon.
Now we're going to take an onboard shot of Rochelle real quickly. Just take a listen. We'll be quiet as how heavy he's lifting into these corners. So let Rochelle do a lap here around Kentucky. Now, we said listen to Rochelle and how he's going to lift, but for the most part, seemed like he was still holding it wide all the way around. He gave it a little bit of a blip going into 1, a little bit into 3, but pretty much wide open around this racetrack here tonight.
Yeah, he's definitely doing a very good job of just holding that throttle as wide open as he possibly can without letting up. And I think that's giving him a huge benefit over a lot of these other drivers who might possibly be a little bit more cautious going into some of these corners, as they might be worried about losing their grip and heading into the wall, which is none of them want to do. And I think Rochelle is definitely a very good example of pushing themselves to the limit.
Yeah, and it's one of those funny things. It doesn't seem like it gives these drivers a lot of chance for fuel savings. At a little bit more aggressive corner tracks like Charlotte, you hear a little bit more heavy lifting as these guys try and save fuel. But it looks like with how kind of flat this Kentucky Speedway is, the guys aren't having to stress too much, just holding it wide all the way around. So I think tire wear is going to be the biggest factor. But I mean, right now, Rochelle, it's kind of his race to lose, as he's running identical lap times to Chad Ross in second and still has a 1.5 second gap over second place.
Yeah, and from the beginning of the race, when Lee was still holding his position in the front of the pack, it seemed like a very different story at the beginning. Rochelle was definitely putting up a fight to try and overtake Lee, and it almost seemed as though Rochelle and Lee were going to end up in sort of the same place after pit, but it's totally the opposite here. We're seeing Lee in the back of the pack and Rochelle all the way up in the front with Ross closely behind him, and everyone else is just super far behind them, 18 seconds being the third car behind them, and it's really just very interesting to see how these drivers are handling tire management and fuel management. Rochelle obviously being the star in this, and just putting on a very good show.
So looking at live time and scoring, I'm doing a little bit of broadcasting detective work right now. We do show Matthew Lee coming in and out of pit lane twice on that cycle. We know he came in one of the first cars to do so on lap, I believe 36 is when he came in, but then he did go back in. Let me see if I can find it here on my notes. Matthew Lee originally came in on lap 35, went back out. But I've got to believe that he has some sort of penalty or something going on that caused him to have that big 54-second pit stop. So I think Lee must have served a stop and go or something to that effect. Yeah, we show him coming in again on lap 36 with a very long pit time. So Lee must have got a speeding penalty or a stop and go or something to that effect. He must have had pit road shenanigans that kind of set his night back.
Absolutely, and it's unfortunate to see that happen to Lee tonight. Being the leader in this series, it's got to be a little heartbreaking for him to have to serve that penalty and be basically in the back of the pack. And maybe we'll see something come out of Lee, and he'll be able to regain that lap and regain some of those positions. But with it already being lap 68, I don't think we're going to see that happen here tonight.
Now look at this. Chad Ross, he comes into pit lane a little bit early of that lap 70 prediction we had. We're going to see if he takes 2 tires or 4. We got 2 on the rights. Does he take lefts? He does. So Ross comes in. He's going to take 4 tires. Jeffrey Smith came in. And we're going to see Chad Ross rocket out of there with a 14.78 second pit window. Now, does Rochelle stay out as long as he possibly can? Still putting down 32-second lap times. We know it's about a second and a half slower than what they can do with fresh tires. but that's going to put him a lap in the field. It's going to leave Rochelle and Matthew Curry, James Kaufman are on our lead lap. No, Rochelle comes into pit lane.
And Rochelle with a little bit of a lockup too coming into the pit lane. Not sure if that was just he was coming in a little bit too hot and had to slow down a little bit more. But he seemed to have recovered just fine, and yeah, he's coming in safely into pit lane now. Now we have, let's see here, we have Curry second, and we have Lee. We're watching Lee now. And coming back to Lee, actually, now that we're seeing the front of the pack start to pit in here, I'm curious to see if Lee's going to try and regain that lap that he lost and pit afterwards, or what his strategy is. I'm very interested.
Yeah, it's going to be really tough for Lee. Is he going to stay out and put down some green flag runs? His last time by was 31.9, so a second and a half off his best time. So how long can he stay out there before those fast drivers catch him with fresh tires? We know Rochelle's on new tires, Ross is on new tires. Both those guys pitting between laps 67, 69, but no, now Lee's going to come into pit lane.
Very interesting strategy too. I wonder what his thinking here with pitting now. I wonder if he's just thinking, hey, you know, it's kind of just a bum race. We're just kind of race as cleanly as we can the rest of it and do what we can, or is there a bigger strategy here?
Yeah, Lee's a very smart racer, so he might be coming in, taking a couple tires and going back out there and just trying to salvage positions at this point. Let's see if he takes 4 tires. Looks like he is going to, so he's going to try and get back out there and just put down a blitzkrieg of laps with 29 to go. He's going to come out of pit lane in, I believe, 6th place. Kaufman and Burgess still in the pit. So now Lee's still going to be a lap down from Kyle Rochelle, Chad Ross, who is currently running 1 and 2 right back with each other. Rochelle's still out front, Ross in second. Number 6 on your screen, that's Stephen Page. He's a lap down from the leaders. Might make it 2 here. And now we've got a final shootout to the end. These guys are all trying to salvage some points. Matthew Lee sitting in 6th, not looking good for his points chase. A lot of drivers have to be happy with his misfortune. Just like that, they've got a bigger shot in the championship run. So it's getting a little bit shaken up tonight, almost halfway through the season.
Just this year start to catch up with Rochelle as well. I was really wondering too if Chad Ross was going to be able to pull this off as well, and I think he might be able to if he can continue to push his car as hard as he can and stay behind Rochelle and avoid all of the dirty air coming off of Rochelle's car. Maintain that speed as much as he can going into these corners. He might be able to pull it off. It looks like he may be able to. We'll see here in the next couple of laps.
Yeah, he's comfortably in the draft. It's going to be 25 to go this time as they cross the line. Judging by the fuel pit windows we've seen so far, we're fairly confident these guys can go all the way on to the end under green flag conditions. So now it's a little bit of a game of cat and mouse. Is Ross going to keep pushing Rochelle, trying to get him to burn up those tires? Or is Ross going to try and make a move? Here he goes down the inside. Can he make it stick? They're going to be side by side going down the back straight. Nobody yielding an inch. It's Rochelle, Chad Ross side by side down the back straight. Going into turn 3. It looks like Ross may have the pass here. He does. Rochelle tries to go low, get the pass going back. And then look, there's number 6, Stephen Page. He's happy to be up there. Despite being lapped down, he wants to get his lap backs and get his nose in there.
Number 6 car is just there to have fun, helping out the front pack, and he might even be causing a little bit of confusion there at the front of the pack, but probably not too much. And I'm really glad to see Ross come through and pull out that number 1 position. It was a very clean pass, and it's going to be interesting to see if Rochelle now can regain that position, but it looks like Ross is pulling a pretty decent gap on Rochelle, but it looks like Rochelle is now closing that gap rapidly.
Yeah, Rochelle does have the draft support of Stephen Page at number 6, but Rochelle can't be happy battling with a lapper this late in the race. This is very well possible for a championship changing event right now. Look at Rochelle, he's down the inside, has the draft of Stephen Page. They go 3 wide. Why, oh why are they doing that with a lap driver? Rochelle gets back down the inside. He wants to keep that draft of Page behind him. And then Page kind of throwing his nose in there. There's a race going on. He's not really in it, but he does want his lap back as well. But I mean, man, this is the battle for the lead right now. These are two drivers duking it out. We kind of want to see them make it happen uninterrupted.
Absolutely. If I was Chad Ross, I would probably be a little heated right now. Page's presence here is probably not very welcomed with these two drivers right now. I think they would rather be left alone in this situation and just kind of compete between themselves. Page being in this situation just sort of adds an extra element that isn't necessary, especially when you're a lap behind. You're kind of just there just to be there. It's not really necessary.
It's one of those oval gentleman rules. If you're running your own race, you can yield the line to the fast cars if possible, and then you try not to mix yourself up. But I mean, these guys are trying to get their lap back too. It's unlikely, but if Page can stay in front of Rochelle, he will be the lead car a lap down, so he is in lucky dog contention. But that's going to really mix up the pace. I mean, Rochelle was at disadvantage for a little while. Now Ross at disadvantage. And then here comes another lap driver. See who that is.
I think that was Lee, actually.
That is. Lee's back up in the mix. So Lee, you're going to see. Now, I guess everything goes out the window. We can expect to see Lee charging super hard here. He's going to start doing his best to get his lap back. 20 laps to go, though. That is a long way to go for Lee to get. He's 32 seconds behind. He's only about 1 or 2 tenths faster than Rochelle out front. So that is might not have enough laps here for Lee to get his lap back and then get all the way around the racetrack.
Yeah, and coming down from position 6, he is now in position 5, which is probably a nice breather for him. But with only 19 laps to go now, I don't think he has enough time to really pull off that extra lap that he needs to regain and then also catch up with the front of the pack. And it's unfortunate to see. He was doing a very, very excellent job at the beginning of the race. Hopefully whatever the issue was that he had to pit for the second time, it was a fluke, or I guess anything that wouldn't hurt him, I suppose.
Yeah, Lee, he's doing his best to get his lap back from Kyle Rochelle right here, the current race leader. But, I mean, these guys are on very similar sets of tires. Lee pitted on lap 70, Rochelle pitted on lap 69. Lee's going to go to the inside. It looks like he might get his lap back here if he can make the pass stick. Rochelle's got to play it smart, and he knows if he bows the lap cars, it's going to slow his race pace down. It's going to allow Chad Ross to shrink down that 1.2 second gap. So expect to see Rochelle kind of tuck in behind Lee right here, use the draft, click off some laps, and try and keep that gap behind him. He does have the luxury. It's about a 24-second gap all the way back to third place. That's Jeffrey Smith in the number 11 machine. Smith is up 6 spots so far. If he can just finish where he's at, he has a very good chance of saving a whole bunch of points.
Yeah, and if he can pull that off tonight, and with only 16 laps to go, it's very possible. It'll be a very good thing for him tonight. He'll gain a few more points in the series, and hopefully push himself up a couple more positions. But it's all just a matter of can you hold out these last few laps? And with only 16 laps to go, 15 laps to go now, you got to be wondering what these drivers are maybe thinking as far as strategy.
Now, Rochelle does not have any points in the championship series right now. I believe this might be his first entry into the FEG PC Cup Series. What a way to start it off. If he's able to bring home a first place finish, dethrone Matthew Lee, who's been 3 for 3 so far, that is going to be a spectacular entrance into the series.
Absolutely. And what a way to come out too into the series. Finishing first in your first entry into the series, it's going to be a very big I think it's going to be something that you're going to have to try and hold up to. people are going to be definitely looking to you to keep that consistency throughout your races. And being that he's performing this well, I expect to see more from Rochelle in the coming races, and hopefully we'll see him be a top competitor.
Yeah, next week we go to Pocono Raceway, 50 laps. You want to talk about a track that can shake things up. 3 very different corners around Pocono, a very flat racetrack. Oh no, Matthew Lee gets into the wall. He has a moment. Almost, Rochelle has to check way up to avoid getting to the back of the 04 machine of Lee. So even the championship guys having a rough day so far, as we see that car, the 04, really tighten up and kind of scared everybody there. We thought we were going to see a crash this late into the thing with 12 to go.
And this late into the race too, it'd be very surprising to see a yellow flag come out. And I think Lee did a very good job of pulling it back together and not making it a worse situation. And it makes me wonder too what happened there. Maybe he was just going a little bit too fast and got loose in the back a little bit.
Yeah, trying to eke out every little bit of inch of racetrack he can use to his advantage, keep the speed going. But I mean, right now he's between a rock and a hard place. The race leader is right behind him, not much of a gap. He just has to keep chugging off laps, stay on the lead lap, and again pray for a caution. But it looks like it's not going to come. It's going to be 10 to go this time by Kyle Rochelle. Is just putting on a show right now. He's tucked behind Lee, using that draft, put a little bit more of a gap on Chad Ross in second. The gap up to 2.10 seconds so far. Jeffrey Smith, he's still hanging on to third right now, about 26 seconds behind our current race leader, Rochelle.
And Rochelle is definitely doing a great job too. He's definitely using Lee's draft to his advantage to keep himself in that position and gain as much distance between himself and second position as possible. And you can see clearly it's working. Just a little bit. He's maintaining that 2-second lead in front of Chad Ross. And I think Lee is kind of hoping that Rochelle is giving him enough bump draft to hopefully recover his lost position, because he's quickly working his way up to position 4.
Yeah, it's very rare and always welcome to see so many green flag runs. We see different strategies like we talked about, and that provides opportunity for guys like Matthew Lee, who had bad luck. Looked like he probably got hit with a speeding penalty, and he had to come back in. And just like that, one green flag stop can really shake up everything in a race and a championship. With all the yellow flag cautions you might see elsewhere, everybody knows the caution's coming up, plenty of time to slow down. Everybody's in the same set of tires, re-rack them, set, repeat, and go. But with these green flag runs, it's always good to see racecraft coming into play on and off the track. These guys have to be good at their driving, but they've also got to be smart with their pit strategies, and they got to practice pit entries. All that stuff really plays into a long green flag run race.
Absolutely. And it's one of those things too where if you're not confident in your driving skills, if you're not confident in pitting in these tracks, you're going to run into issues. You might find yourself overshooting the pit or undershooting it and going too slow into the pit. There's a lot of different things that you can do to lose your pace in a race just by not knowing the track.
Perfect practice makes perfect. Looks like right now Rochelle's been putting in the work, still running out front with a commanding lead over 2 seconds. Looks like Matthew Lee may have slowed up just a little bit there. That's going to make Rochelle dive to the inside. He goes, all right, the race pace is slowing down. It's time for me to go. The last thing he wants is for Chad Ross to gain any time on him. As Rochelle dives to the inside, tries to get clear of Lee. Lee not making it easy. He wants to stay on the lead lap.
Ross is quickly gaining time on Rochelle as well. He's worked his way down from a 2-second gap down to, I believe it was a 1.7 second closing. Yes, he is down at 1.7 seconds currently, and he's holding it now. But if Rochelle and Lee continue to kind of fight over who's getting the lead here in the race, Um, he might be able to catch up to them a little bit, but that's very unlikely as we only have 4 laps left to go.
Yeah, right there with you. Once Rochelle and Lee start going side by side, they kind of ruin the draft for each other. Ross still has Stephen Page right behind him, giving him a push. So if they can stay linked up like that while the top 2 cars on the racetrack are going side by side, that allows them to gain that 0.3 seconds like we saw. But looks like Rochelle and Lee are going to be happy going single file with 3 laps to go at Kentucky. Man, Rochelle, what an entrance here tonight.
Rochelle absolutely came out here, and he came out here with a desire to win, and he did it. He absolutely did it. He had a very strong performance throughout the entire race. At the beginning of the race, he was in the front of the pack the entire time, and he lucked out. He had to unfortunately pit twice because of an incident, whether it was pit speed or something like that, but it played out for him very nicely as he finished first, and he's got a very nice gap from second place.
Yeah, I mean, Rochelle putting on a clinic tonight. Got a little bit of lady luck on his side, and Matthew Lee having a bad pit stop, but Chad Ross, he's only 1.6 seconds back with 2 to go. I don't think Ross can have anything for him. Right now is Rochelle's race to try and bring it home. It'll be white flag this time by Rochelle running the number 1 tonight. He kind of planned for it, I reckon, and so far it seems to be working. As we're on our final lap here at Kentucky, it's Rochelle. He's going to go into one more time, complete his lap, and then bring it home for the team.
What a great win for Rochelle tonight. It was honestly a very impressive performance from Rochelle. The entire race, you could just tell that he was very eager to be in the front of the pack, and he continued to fight for that pole 1 position. And it's really great to see a newcomer to the series pull off a win.
Yeah, doing a great job. Very impressed with him. And just like that, checker flag is out. I mean, well done to Rochelle. Did a spectacular job. Pretty dominant performance tonight. So looking forward to getting him up in the broadcast booth for a second for his interview. But give it up, Kyle Rochelle, your race winner tonight.
And Rochelle with a celebratory burnout. You definitely earned it tonight, Rochelle. You did a great job of racing, and I really look forward to seeing Rochelle perform in the next few races. It's going to be very interesting to see what he can do here.
All right, let's see. We've got Jeffrey Smith coming up. Jeffrey bringing home 3rd place tonight. A great run. How are you feeling after those long laps at Kentucky?
Man, I'm actually thoroughly surprised. I showed up 2 minutes before the race starts. I never even looked at this next gen car. It was actually a surprise.
Yeah, these next gen cars, you don't want to detract from the drivers saying they're easy to drive, but the technology is so good, it's not as stressful as pushing a cup car for 100 laps around this speedway. How did the tire wear feel to you? Did you feel anything different as the run developed, or was it just smooth sailing and a little bit slower lap times?
Oh yeah, these next gen cars are next level. It's I don't want to say it's almost elementary to drive them because I'm not that guy, but they're super easy to drive. They get a little tight at the end of the run, but no, nothing too terrible.
So a newcomer to series. What's your plans going into next week at Pocono? Are you suddenly find yourself, oh, I'm in a points chase, I better hammer down? Or is it just more casual driving, no practice, show up and put on the podium for you in the future?
Honestly, man, then this is not an ego trip at all, but this is kind of what I do. I don't decide until the last minute whether I'm gonna get on and race or not. So it's usually no practice and just hope for the best. So I don't know. It's all gonna come down to scheduling kind of thing. If I get a chance to run it, I will. I love supporting Jeff, and it's a good friend of mine. But I don't know if I'll I'll be here from week to week.
I'm with you. So that's Jeff. Fake it till you make it, Smith. Jeff, before we let you go, anybody you want to thank that might be watching out there at home?
Oh, absolutely. I gotta talk Andrew Melvin and Mike Eames. They've been here since they were my day ones. They actually are the ones that have gotten my I rating, gotten my driving abilities better. Um, if not for them, I I don't do anything. Um, Actually, in all fairness, without Jeff Ford, I don't do anything. He built me this beautiful computer. I have VR. I have this beautiful setup because of him. So without Jeff and FEG PC, I am nothing. He found me when I was 700 I rating, and now I bounce between 25 to 2300 I rating, depending on how much I get to race. So those guys, they're everything for me.
Yeah, Jeff, great guy on and off the track. He's the reason we're all here tonight. Jeffrey Smith, we greatly appreciate you. We hope to see you back on the podium early on in the future.
I will do my best.
All right, up next, we've got Chad Ross bringing it home in second tonight. Ross, do you read me? We've lost Chad Ross. Chad, can you read us? All right, we've got problems with Chad Ross, so we're going to bring Race. Chad, are you there now?
Yeah, I got you, man. Somehow it kept pushing me in the
There
room.
we go. We're like the Verizon guys. Can you hear me now? Chad, you're not having didn't have the final run that you wanted here tonight. Was tire wear too big of an issue, or was there something else that kind of hurts you from getting up there and battling more with Rochelle?
Well, tire wear and maybe just the fact I guess he was faster than I was.
So, Chad, I think everybody agrees that the Next Gen Cup car is a ton of fun to drive, especially when you get out here with good, clean racers. Do you think Pocono's going to shake things up next week with that kind of odd racetrack everybody's going to be on?
I mean, it's hard to say. I mean, with only having 10 guys show up lately, I'm sure Pocono's just going to be all spread out and probably a long green race. So I don't know. We'll see. I kind of wish these cars had more fall off and you had to slow them down more. But it is what it is. It's been pretty tight racing.
Yeah, especially compared to the current Gen Cup car. They don't get quite as tight and as pushy in the next gen car, so it kind of allows guys to still hold it wide around the racetrack, but tire wear, it falls off, but it's not as aggressive. Now, do you think that's going to change at all as iRacing and NASCAR get more data on the machines, or do you think these are kind of going to be the cars that we see for a while?
Well, I'm sure as they run them and learn more, they'll be updating whatever. I mean, I would hope they would make them harder to drive, but I don't know. You never know. They want every race to be Talladega, so they're probably going to try to keep everybody bunched up as much as they can.
Well, Chad, before we let you go tonight, anybody you want to thank that might be watching or cheering you on from across the world on the live broadcast?
Just thank Jeff for putting it on and for you for doing a great job on the broadcast, man.
Always,
thank you.
Yeah, always a pleasure, Chad. I hope to see you back on the podium more in the future. You gained some much-needed points tonight. We'll see how things shake up, but you're looking pretty good as this run develops.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. And Pocono's usually pretty decent to me, so we'll see how it goes.
All right, that was second place, Chad Ross. Up next, the man of the aisle, the new kid on the block, Kyle Rochelle. Kyle, do you read me?
Hey man, how's it going?
Doing well. I mean, you came out tonight. You did a pretty commanding victory and led, I believe, the majority of the laps after that one pit cycle. How are you feeling right now?
Well, I feel pretty good after winning. Never driven these cars before until tonight, so that was pretty fun to do.
Now, Kyle, we're hearing that from several drivers that said, "Yeah, I just got the car, showed up, and put it on the podium." Are the cars that good, or are you just that fast, Kyle?
I think Matt was probably the fastest car. It was pretty fun following him the first 30 or so laps. I guess he got a pit stop penalty or something. I'm not sure, but yeah, these cars are different. I'm not really sure how I feel about them, to be honest. It didn't feel like we had that much horsepower, and it's different. It's hard to drive, but it's easy to drive at the same time.
It's one of those things and I'm speaking as a broadcaster and a fellow racer. It's almost like they made it fairly easy to get around the racetrack, but it's hard to go faster than the guy ahead of you. When everybody's clicking off within tenths of each other, every little bit matters, and mistakes are kind of amplified with how close these cars are. We've asked several other drivers, do you think Pocono is going to really shake things up going into next week, or is it going to be more of a spread out race that we're going to see?
No, I think it'll be more spread out. Like you were saying, these cars you can suck up to them real easily, but you got to really set them up. It takes a couple laps, and if we have 30 cars on the track, it's going to be tougher when you got guys trying to do the same thing behind you. I mean, you see a lot of it right now in the cars we're racing now in the this year, but still, it seems like a little bit harder. Just not as much momentum, really.
Now we're looking forward to it. So Kyle, now that you got some points on the board, you're in it for the championship run. Are you going to try and make most of the races going to the forward, or just show up when time allows you?
Yeah, actually, I'm not even sure what race you guys are on. It's my first race in the next gen cars. So I think I'm going to keep going. I might as well, right?
Might as well.
We were fast tonight.
Tonight was round 4. Round 5 is next week at Pocono, and then the chase top 8s and points start July 21st for round 9. So you're about halfway through the season, so still plenty of opportunity to get yourself back up in the points. And most importantly, you just broke Matthew Lee's 3-in-a-row race streak, so that's got to be feeling pretty good.
Yeah, it's nice. I like doing that. Yeah, I get some more sponsors in the car, and I'll be here every week.
Speaking of sponsors, Kyle, before we let you go, who do you want to give a shout out to? The floor is yours.
Well, I got my own team, RS Racing. I share with my buddy Tom Senchek. Just gotta thank them. We race together week in, week out, and he helps me get better. And you guys, the whole series, FEG. Appreciate everything you guys do.
Well, always a pleasure, Kyle. Again, welcome to the top spot of the podium. We look forward to seeing more cool things from you in the future. We appreciate you.
All right, man. Thanks a lot.
All right, that's going to round out our race leaders. I mean, great racing from all the guys. You got Rochelle up front, Chad Ross second, Jeffrey Smith third, Matthew Curry fifth. Matthew Curry fourth, Matthew Lee fifth, James Kaufman sixth, Jose Medina in seventh, Stephen Page eighth, William Lothar ninth, Joseph Burgess having a rough night with 10th, and then Donald Stewart in the number 78 machine unable to make the race tonight. Mason, it's your first experience with the FEG PC guys. I mean, how about the caliber of racecraft we have tonight?
Honestly, James, it was really impressive to see the level of performance that these drivers have. It's really great to see the amount of dedication that these drivers put into racing. We heard it tonight. A lot of these drivers just kind of show up and race, and it really just goes to show that it all just takes talent, time, and just learning what you can do to improve yourself as a driver. And you can put anything on the track and perform well. And Rochelle definitely came out here and prove that tonight.
Yeah, fast is fast. Doesn't matter what you're in, where you're at. So always great seeing the best racers on the iRacing service showing up to the FEGPC.net series. As always, we appreciate everybody tuning in, following Team Goon Squad Broadcasting on YouTube. Always pushing it out in 1080p, 60 frames a second. On behalf of FEGPC.net and Team Goon Squad Broadcasting, I'm James East, accompanied by Mr. Mason for the first time tonight. We appreciate everybody tuning in, and we'll catch you next week.